Alright, now this is very quick. It's just two things. Alright, we'll just open this from the bottom. The scissors makes every side an opening. What am I even looking at there? Nom 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 nom. Alright. Top here. This is Get a Robo Arc. I was like, that's hard to read, but that's Getter Robo Arc. Let's get this plastic off, even though we got some tenacious plastic there. Oh, yeah, on the floor, whatever. What do we have here? We got Region A, got an English dub, a new Get a Robo, a new generation of heroes. Okay, so this is broken down there. Hardly the first, won't be the last. Yeah, and not knowing much about Get a Robo, I don't have much else to say about it. That's all I have to say about that. Next up, we have Panda Go Panda on Blu-ray, which I do believe I've only gotten on DVD. Couldn't exactly remember, but I'm like, whatever, I'll just get it on Blu-ray again. I mean, there's only 3 things that arrived for that. Yeah. That said, that feels broken. That isn't it. Okay. For some reason that didn't look like the Region A symbol. So yeah, that's broken there, but that's okay. This is DVD. Blu-ray DVD. Okay. So this is Blu-ray DVD, so it's both. Yeah, apparently I got a lot of stuff not so great, including that little blue plastic. And then last but not least, we have Iroduku, The World in Colors, which looks pretty. I mean, like Panda Go Panda, I can't make much about Get a Robo. You know, if you're into the Get a Robo stuff, that might be pretty appealing. For me, it's a very unknown. So this one's probably catching my eye the most, these 3 things, but to see color, to experience emotion, to embrace destiny. Got Region A, includes all blank episodes. Audio includes English. What's that? I'm squinting a little bit here. I'm a little tired. There's guys, there's girls. Well, the other way around. Guys and girls, but... Well, I know that was quick, but here's this week's anime DVD collection update. Okay, where was I last week? I guess, I don't think I had finished watching My Hero Academia Season 5. Part 2, technically, and this is Part 1, but I finished My Hero Academia Season 5. I think I was describing how it looked like it was building up, our supervillains. And it was doing so in a way that's pretty good. Because like I said, the main thing about this show is good is you have all these story arcs and our main character feels involved. Like with Naruto, so the first Naruto series, like the first half of it had its good, okay, sometimes bad moments, but then it became a ton of filler. But it wasn't even necessarily great filler. It may not have even been good filler. It's possible it wasn't even okay filler. So like you'd have a story arc that's supposed to be, this kind of sounds sort of like what our main character Naruto went through, But even for their work for setting things up, it still felt like Naruto was kind of just sort of there. Like, the story didn't mean much to him. And My Hero Academia is always great because, for some reason, even when they're doing all these stories and they're juggling all these characters, somehow, even though it's doing that, it feels more like it's keeping things very closely tied to our main character and their progression. And like I said, the later part of Season 5 was actually developing the villains. And even though our main character isn't there, it feels like this is what they are setting us up to deal with in opposition of our main character. You feel like they're building up the villains because that's about building up the confrontation they're inevitably going to have with our main character, with Deku. And the Deku stuff also feels like that. And, Season 5 is kind of good. Like, Season 4 had some spectacular moments where you're just like, yes, but Season 5 is where you're like, this is why it's not just a story of convenience or something like that. It's like, oh, he conveniently becomes the best hero or something like that. Like, it never felt like it was necessarily that way, but it felt like it was dangerously flirting with that idea. But Season 5, I say, it makes it feel like grander things really are. It's at stake. That's pretty good. So, and I finished it, and my Friday friend, he started watching it. And I kind of expected that. I don't remember if I said it last week, but I expected with my Friday friend he would continue on watching Season 5. So, I've rewatched some of the stuff that we've seen before, and, it's still pretty nice. Like I said, you'd have Naruto go on the side story with somebody dealing with a problem, and Naruto's just happens to be there, but their resolving of it feels a little more incidental. And this one deals with, another character's family. I was wanting to say familiar, but that's not right. So family issues. But our main character's presence and interaction with that stuff is great. Actually, Bakugo's really fucking great, too. He's just this precious little gem. He's kind of like this, he's exploding and angry, but I don't know. I've been enjoying My Hero Academia. I appreciate it. It's gone on for over 100 episodes, according to Crunchyroll, but it's done a good job of just staying fun, even though sometimes it's doing stuff that feels like it isn't as much of a focus. But I feel like it's doing that better than One Piece is right now, just because One Piece is doing great stuff, but it's taking it too long to do some of the stuff it should be doing quicker. Well, let's see. What's other stuff? So, Season 1, Episode 12 of Skeleton Knight from Another World. That's wrapping it up, and I thought a pretty good episode 12. It's not something that feels like it resolved absolutely everything, but it's like, yeah, here's a big thing that happened. And it felt a little more big thing than Trapped in a Dating Sim, which finished last week. But at the same time, it's got me hopeful that there's going to be more of Skeleton Knight, and I do want to see where it goes from here, what it does. It had a fun core ending or season ending, whatever you call it. Likewise, we have Spy Family. Now, like I said, Spy Family didn't feel like it was building up to some sort of core or season finale, but episode 12 was still a little bit more noteworthy in a certain way, but kind of in a way that isn't very story-ish. I hope Spy Family gets more, because as far as things that are getting widespread attention, love, and adornment, I think Spy Family is pretty far up there. So seeing more of that would be great. I hope there is more, because I get the impression that this was something like a core finale or season finale or something like that. But it didn't feel as epic as Skeleton Knight or Trapped in a Dating Sim. But at the same time, it had some good Spy Family charm to it. Some very entertaining stuff. So was I gonna say that? I don't know if I want to say that. It's not that it's too spoiler, but I don't know if it is or not. So I don't want to say too much. So all pretty great stuff. And I started watching an anime called How a Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom. Okay, yeah. Because I forgot to memorize the name ahead of time. And the truth of the matter is, memorizing everything that happened so far is kind of hard. I've seen the first 9 episodes, and it's been pretty entertaining. I think the main premise is our main character is a hero summoned to another world, but he was a civil servant, or he was a civil servant in training in Japan. So for him, the idea of combat and fighting and all that stuff is not that great, but instead it goes back to that village building sort of stuff that a whole lot of things do, except the village already exists, but this is about, okay, well, we need to catch them up onto some modern ideas. And some of the ideas it explores are actually fun. Some of them are maybe done very differently from other shows I've seen. They're not done exactly perfectly, I would say, but at the same time, I think with the characters it makes and the interactions that just go on, it works despite the fact that you're like, wait, hold on, well, fine, that's whatever, okay, keep going. So I think an example is like, they're dealing with a food shortage in the kingdom, and, they kind of have this thing where they kind of are giving people ideas on how to branch out and find more food to eat that they didn't think they could eat before. And there's a lot of neat things they do with that, but one of the things that's just highly questionable is like, okay, they show doing this one thing, it's just add some salt and sugar. And for us, that is definitely a very real description of just add some salt and sugar. But in medieval fantasy sort of times, salt and sugar would have been bigger commodities. Like Ascendance of a Bookworm deals with some of this stuff where sugar just isn't as common. But it still works out there because, the nobles will want to eat things with sugar in them. It's a recent import or something like that. Doing weird things with it, interesting things with it. So, it's kind of weird because it feels like that's a problem that has to be addressed as well. So it's not bulletproof in a lot of its ideas or executions per se, but again, it's just kind of working as it goes. I'm not quite sure about the current stuff, but I'm curious to see what it's about to do because the show hasn't disappointed so far. So I'm curious how it's going to go. I think there's 26 episodes and they're all dubbed, so my guess is this is something that Funimation brought back to Crunchyroll as part of the Crunchyroll Funimation Sony shenanigans. So good stuff. Let's see, something else, anything else to talk about, because I think that wraps up all the anime stuff. For video game stuff, it's mostly Dead by Daylight, although it's interesting to note that I think the event was going on last week, and the event goes on for another couple more days, but I think the community is about to get the last community goal, or maybe at this point they've gotten it. I might be willing to check, but obviously I do that off camera. And what's the advantage of the community getting the community goals? Well, we unlock the last piece of community cosmetic, and that top row on the tome, and then that just leaves the bottom row, and whatever we do there. And those last two things should in theory be easy. In practice, we'll have to see. But, in theory, should be easy. I guess I haven't done that one. Not in a big rush to do that one. But maybe I'll end up doing it. I don't know. I'm not in a big rush. Although it is interesting to note that we are coming closer to the end of this month, the beginning of the next month, and I think that means two things. First of all, the new update for Monster Hunter Rise, the new expansion, should be coming out. And at the same time, on Friday we get the second half of Stranger Things Season 4. So, a lot of things to look forward to there, I guess. Whether or not I'm going to play a lot of Monster Hunter Rise is up in the air. Waving your hands like you just don't care. But I'll figure that out. Alright. I think that wraps up everything. Y'all, have a nice week.